tribalism is one thing, and WWE versus the universe has been ongoing for a long time, since well before AEW was brought in, but so much stronger since, with a favoured son, let's just say, of Chicago being a real argument point at the moment. But as Secret Wars go, there's a big one brewing in wrestling, one that actually does not involve WWE at all, doesn't involve Vince McMahon, Triple H, Roman Reigns, none of it. None of that is important to this particular battle. Because right here, right now, we're about to enter the age of the biggest feud that wrestling has ever seen. CM Punk versus Dave Meltzer. Yes, Mr. 5-star, or in many ways Mr. 6.5 star as of late, is really starting to get the goat of CM Punk, a man infamously goat get-uppable, someone who has laid into pretty much everyone he has ever worked with for such a variety of reasons, and even spent quite a long time far, far away from AEW, keeping a distance in order to, fix all the issues with the punches and the muffins and the dog. A lot happened with CM Punk. Now, he's left the WWE, entered AEW as a flight risk after turning down one contract offer, but overall worked very well in his brief time for AEW. He put on high-profile matches, was very well rewarded for his time and for the viewership, and also we had a very positive launch of AEW Rampage, which has since fallen off a cliff, but CM Punk can take some credit for that. In fact, with Rampage, the vast majority of credit can be taken by CM Punk. Where CM Punk is also giving credit back is to Dave Meltzer. He has laid in to Dave Meltzer for so many different reasons. I'm going to get to the Dave Meltzer part. Let's start with the CM Punk part. A large part of the sort of kicking off point of that whole muffin extravaganza was the false reports, or at least CM Punk's accusing them of being false reports, about CM Punk that were fed to members of the Wrestling Observer. Not just Dave Meltzer himself, but also, for example, Brian Alvarez. Now, there was clearly, and everyone's been very open about this now, an issue ongoing between CM Punk and Hangman Page, and that issue does not seem to have been resolved in any way. There is clearly an issue ongoing between CM Punk and the Elite, even Jon Moxley, someone infamously hard to offend. As long as you can bleed, he's basically your best bud. Even he has been very open about not being the happiest with CM Punk. But also, it is literally impossible to argue at this point, with all of the evidence that's been provided, that a lot of those reports about CM Punk that are coming out via Wrestling Observer are simply not accurate. Now, Dave Meltzer occupies a very special place when it comes to wrestling media, in that he is the most famous, he is the most well-known, and his track record doesn't have to be good anymore. We've moved on from that point. If you're a regular viewer of this channel, you'll know how often we go through the fake news section. Fake news basically highlighting the reports that came in a while back, how many of them have been proven true. Cage Side Seats, for example, has a fantastic resource that goes back 6 months and says what has been proven true or proven false. Every time we go through that, Dave Meltzer's name comes up on both sides of the aisle. True and false. And when it comes to CM Punk, it is heavily weighted towards false. Very blatantly so. Now, from the Dave Meltzer side, if he is being fed false information, he should certainly be verifying it a lot more strongly than he is doing so. However, he isn't necessarily always reporting news. Here is the facts. The Wrestling Observer radio show in particular does involve a lot of opinion that different websites pick up and report as fact. The Wrestling Observer website itself is guilty of misinterpreting and misreporting the opinions of Dave Meltzer as factual reports, as factual analysis. Meaning that a lot of things that Dave Meltzer says to share his opinion, to speculate, to fantasy book and be a fan, end up making the front pages of sites all across the world. This is wrestling media in a nutshell, and one of the biggest problems with it, which CM Punk accurately points out. When one person reports one thing, suddenly 15 different websites are reporting that same thing, citing that one source, and it sure feels, with the clickbait nature of wrestling media and media in general at the moment, when news is for the highest bidder, it really does feel like you've got 15, 16 sources all saying the same thing. So it must be true, right? No, because it's still coming from just the one person. Any reporter, no matter how many times they fact check, no matter how many sources they have, they are not a first-hand source, and as such, they cannot be a solitary source. This is why it's so important for wrestling media to confirm itself, to confirm each other. When something I report is reported elsewhere, that is good for me. Admittedly, I never get my name pointed out anywhere, even when it is a case of I reported something a month ago and it pops up behind a paywall, but we do what we can, and we celebrate however we can when something does make those headlines that I've already reported. Dave Meltzer is in a similar situation. When he reports something, he waits for others to confirm it, and the Wrestling Observer, by and large, has been pretty good at citing those sources, but that is part of the problem, which CM Punk illustrates. One wrestling media source, regardless of the verifiable nature of said source, you all know there's lots of different sources all of a sudden popping up that are in no way credited, in no way credible, and in no way verified, but still, they're popping up on all of these different websites and news sources. That's still one source. And when one source is wrong so many times, it's too late. Once the news is out there and all those different sites have reported it, it's too late. And I promise you, they'll also be running as clickbait the rumour killer from CM Punk. They'll be running the report from Dave Meltzer saying this is happening, true or false. They'll then be running the report from CM Punk saying this isn't happening, true or false. And before you know it, everyone seems to think that both are true, which is seemingly impossible, but apparently in the world of wrestling, all things can be both true and false at one time. See Vince McMahon, hero, legend, horrible person. Both can be true, apparently. Anyway, when it comes to CM Punk, he is not going to sit on this. He is back in AEW. He is back writing checks, taking names, kicking people in the face. Sorry, kneeing people in the face. I want to respect the man and his craft here because he's got a very, very good leaping knee. Dave Meltzer, meanwhile, is not going to be swayed. People have been against him for a long time. People have been for him for a long time. But Dave Meltzer seemingly does not care about any of that, does not follow the hype, does not follow the reply stating this, that, or the other about him. Simply continues to get on with his job of reporting on wrestling news. And to be clear, Dave Meltzer as a historian is second to absolutely none. But when it comes to CM Punk, both men seem laser focused on each other to the detriment of everything else that they are doing. There is a war coming between CM Punk and Dave Meltzer, which could well stretch out into a war between wrestlers and wrestling journalists. And all I want to say as regards that is that it is a long, long time overdue, because the amount of false reporting thrown at wrestlers who just have to grin and take it, it ruins the entire experience for so many people. There is plenty more information about that on this YouTube channel. Check that out. Subscribe for more as we go into it. But I've been Tom Collihew, and I'd just like to say thank you to all of you for watching.